Good morning. Good morning. Come on in the room this morning for another edition of Freedom Friday. We're back here this morning on Friday. I told you all that I was going to keep my promise and be consistent for the month of November, regardless of the challenges. I thank God for another day. His grace is sufficient for you and I. And I'm so glad about it. I'm so glad you took the time out of your schedule this morning to join me. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning. Good morning, Anthony. Um, good morning, Joseph. Good morning, Charles. Good morning. Come on in the room. I want you to invite, share, tag someone. Let them know that we are live this morning for another installment of Freedom Friday. We're going to continue in our same vein that we started last Friday, starting over again, relationships one-on-one. We're in for our second installment this morning. And I'm Dr. E, your pastor of ministry and balance. My job is to kind of bring balance. Good morning, Anthony. My job is to help you establish balance. Not only you, I'm helping myself. So I thought it not robbery this month, as we talked about in our preaching series for the month of November, starting over again. This is an opportunity for us to start over again in our relationships. I don't think we spend a lot of time in doing that. We put a lot of time and efforts in how we look, but not the work that it takes to have a healthy, thriving relationship. So I am not going to belabor the time. I want to get right into it because it was just so fulfilling for me to study and prepare for you on this Friday. And so I am just grateful and thankful that you just got with me this morning. I'm glad to be on the other side of the earth. I'm glad I'm not in the dirt. We were made from dirt, but I thank God He left me above dirt this morning, and for that I give Him a praise. So the Freedom Friday platform is designed to help bring balance to your life. Freedom is about living your best life without constraint, and freedom that allows you to conceptualize your life on a whole different level. That really goes for your relationships. As you conceptualize what your relationship wants to be or what you desire it to be, you have to look beyond where you currently are. I talked last week about the 3-month rule. It takes you 3 months to just build a friendship with someone, to kind of put down the layers. I often say it this way: that first encounter, that first date, sometimes our representative shows up, we don't. It's in those first 3 months that you'll begin to see some signs. If this person is for me or this person is not for me, you'll begin to see some things that I want to move forward because this conversation is good, is impactful. They have my best interests at heart. So these are some things that we need to consider as we are establishing healthy relationships. A relationship should be evolving over time. One of the signs is if a person doesn't want to move, is if there is an avoidance of going deeper in your conversation. If that person is always avoiding having a conversation with you, that's a sign. Because if they're not willing to have a conversation with you, then that means they're not willing to have a meaningful conversation with God. Because we realize our relationship is built up on us having dialogue with God through prayer. If the person that you decided you want to start to see if this person is for me, because remember, when you're dating, you're gathering data on that person and they're gaining data on you. So it's so important that we understand that. Signs are important. Why? Whenever we went to get our driver's license or permit, we had to take a signs test. If you are unable to pass the signs test, that's a clear indication that you're not ready to drive. You need to study and give it more time. So just like the science test we take during our drivers, it's important that while we're driving in our relationship, we're going to experience some signs But it is important that you take those signs to realize, do I want to build a relationship or I don't? It's amazing how they give us signs on the road, and a lot of them may not have words. So good morning, Yvette. We have to know the signs in order to pass the test. It's the same way with our relationships. You need to see the signs. If you're not seeing the signs while you're building a relationship, that should be an alarm or red flag should go up. I'm not seeing the signs. You might need to see kind of what they do when they get a little frustrated or they get a little upset. Sometimes we have to see those things in order for us to determine, is this a relationship I'm willing to pursue or am I willing to fall back? In the Gospel of John 15:15, Jesus says, I no longer call you servants. Instead, I call you friends. Jesus understood that relationship building was so important that he took the time. They had been labeled as servants, but he wanted them to understand you're no longer a servant. So the servant mentality needs to shift. I call you friends because I allowed you to get into my intimate circle. I allowed you to get close to me. Even though Jesus realized that he led himself to get close to the disciples, there was going to be betrayal. He was going to be sold. Peter was going to deny him. So he understood that going into the relationship. There's some things that's only going to take God to change. But don't throw the relationship away because you have not yet seen the signs. I need for you to stay with it at least 90 days so you can understand how valuable is this relationship. Jesus is speaking about his friendship with his disciples that evolved into many dimensions. Every relationship has levels. You move from level 1, the friend category. Then you move to associate. Then you'll move up to being in covenant relationship. There's levels to a friendship in a relationship. Relationships should not stay on the same level if you should be moving forward. And if it's not moving forward, I ask the question, who or what is driving it? Are you the reason why the relationship is not forward? Or is the other person the reason? You got to identify who's driving. Now you can have a main driver and a co-driver, but sometimes those roles need to switch. Remember, you're gaining data on that person. You're gathering necessary components. Do I really want to build this friendship into a relationship? Jesus's relationship with his disciples was about adding value to what they had established. One particular friendship was Elijah and Elisha. Elijah was assigned to Elisha to add value. Elisha was assigned to Elijah by God to receive training and equipping. There was so much value that Elijah gave Elisha his name simply off of credibility. Elisha sought out to follow Elijah. That was his assignment. 1 Kings 19:21. It says, Elisha set out to follow Elijah and became his servant. I want to back up into that particular paragraph. It says here that Jesus' relationship with his disciples was about adding value to what they had established. If that person's always taking from you and not adding to you, that's a relationship you need to cut off immediately, because that's a dead-end relationship. The thing here says that one particular friendship, it said that he was assigned to Elijah. Elisha was assigned to Elijah by God to receive a training and equipping. You all should be able to add value to each other. Good morning, Angela. You all should be able to add value to each other at some point in that relationship. If they're not adding value to you and they're always subtracting and there's no multiplication going in there on either part, that's a red flag. You both must bring something to the table in order for that relationship to be important. You got to understand that I don't want to be in a relationship that's not going anywhere. For me, I don't like wasting my time. And I pick up on signs really early. So if I feel as if this relationship is not going anywhere, I'm gonna gracefully bow out. But I'm gonna tell the person first, I just think that this is really not for me. And I really feel like it's really not for you. You know, let's just end on good terms. And when you end on that, do this. Don't go out and talk about the person if you and that other person decide to sever ties. Because at some point, everything is not for everybody. And sometimes I think we become people's doormats for the sake of being in a relationship. The Bible says it this way: he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtains favor with the Lord. Ladies, if you want to be found, you have to put your position in that way. In other words, if you're hiding, he's not going to find you. But you got to present yourself like a lady, like a true woman. Stop pretending to be somebody that you're not. Men, the same goes for you. Stop pretending that you are all that in a bag of chips, when really all you are is just simply who you are. And that's okay. We have to understand that. The relationship between Elisha and Elijah was mentor to mentee. It was so valuable that the spirit of Elijah rested on Elisha. Every good relationship goes through a metamorphosis. You only forge relationship with people who can add value and not take away from you. Don't allow yourself to get caught up early and then find yourself in a relationship, because this should not be a relationship with benefits. If you start with benefits, you're going to have to carry it with benefits. We know what we're talking about. This is not a give and take. Now, I often tell people, if you're going to give the benefit without receiving anything else, then you're on a whole nother level. And if that person is willing to accept that, then what you're doing, you're building a relationship off of false implications. And if you're joining a relationship off of false implications, you've got to you got to keep that up. So don't start a relationship off a lie. Tell them who you really are from the beginning. But if you start in the lying category, you got to continue with that lie. Start on the level that you can be trusted. The psychologist Eric Erickson tells us in the stages of development, the first development is trust versus mistrust. Trust is earned, it's not given. You have to develop trust to have a fruitful and meaning relationship. Stop giving your time to something that's never going to move past home base. If you're looking to move to base 1, base 2, and hit a home run, you got to be willing to put in the work that it takes to build a fruitful relationship. Don't force the relationship, but allow it to evolve. Some people evolve later than others. It takes time to build a good, healthy relationship. So I believe that relationships can be built on a solid foundation if you recognize the signs and you don't avoid the hard conversations, but allow yourself to be loved. Allow yourself to get past the hurt and rejection, and don't reflect your past relationship on your current relationship. We often do that, not intentionally, but unintentionally. What he or she did to you, don't make the other person pay for that. You have to know, is this relationship something I'm willing to give time to? Or is this a relationship I'm willing to let it go? That's the question. I pray that today's relationship 101 was a blessing to you. The evolution of relationships take time. Be willing to do that, and be willing to give yourself some space and time to trust again, to believe again, and to love again. I thank you for your time and space this morning for our 15 minutes of inspiration and motivation. There again, I'm Dr. E, your pastor of Ministry and Balance. I look forward to you joining me next Friday for another installment of Relationship 101. Grace and peace.